Okay, be honest with me right now. How many times this month have you been lying in bed? It's like 11:45 at night. You're scrolling your phone and you see something, like a jacket, a gadget, some kitchen thing you absolutely do not need, and you just buy it? Like you don't even think about it. Your thumb hits add to cart, then buy now, and the whole transaction takes maybe 9 seconds. And then 2 days later, an Amazon box shows up at your door and you genuinely cannot remember what you ordered. You open it and you're like, oh, right, the thing. And then 3 weeks later, you look at your bank account and there's this gap between what you earned and what you have. And you cannot for the life of you figure out where it all went. It didn't go to rent. It didn't go to bills. It just evaporated like financial vapor, gone. If that's you, don't feel bad. That's also me. Or at least it was me before I developed 10 deeply unsexy, profoundly boring, genuinely strange financial habits that have saved me. And I actually did the math on this over $100,000 across the last several years. And the wild part, I don't feel deprived. I'm not eating rice and beans in a dark apartment. I still travel. I still go out to dinner. I still buy things I enjoy. I just stopped hemorrhaging money on things that weren't actually making me happier. And today, I'm going to walk you through every single one of these habits. Some of them you've never heard of. Some of them are going to sound weird. One of them is going to sound borderline psychotic, but they all work, and the math proves it. My name is Billy, and I spend way too much time thinking about the psychology of why smart people waste money on things that don't matter. If you're someone who makes decent income but still feels like you're running on a financial treadmill, earning more but somehow never actually getting ahead, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Everything I'm about to share is stuff you can literally start doing tonight. Not next quarter, not when you get a raise, tonight. But first, I need to challenge something because there's this toxic idea floating around the personal finance world that in order to save serious money, you have to live like a monk. You have to give up everything. No restaurants, no vacations, no fun, just austerity and suffering until you're 65 and finally allowed to enjoy your own money. That's garbage. And I'm going to prove it to you with actual numbers. Because the truth is, most of the money you're wasting isn't going to things that bring you joy. It's going to friction, mindless purchases, forgotten subscriptions, psychological tricks that corporations spend billions of dollars engineering to separate you from your cash. The goal isn't to spend less. The goal is to spend intentionally. Those are two very different things. Let's get into the 10 habits. Habit number 1, and this is the one that single-handedly changed my relationship with money, the 72-hour purchase delay. Here's the rule. For any non-essential purchase over $50, I do not buy it immediately. I put it on a list. It's a literal note on my phone called waiting. And I write down what it is, how much it costs, and the date. Then I wait 72 hours, 3 full days. If after 72 hours I still want it, still think about it, and still believe it's worth the money, I buy it guilt-free. No hesitation. Now, you might be thinking, Billy, that's basic. That's just delayed gratification. And yeah, conceptually, it's simple, but here's what most people don't realize about why this works at a neurological level. When you see something you want to buy, your brain releases dopamine. Not when you get the thing, but in anticipation of getting the thing. That dopamine spike creates a sense of urgency. It literally makes you feel like you need to act now. That's why impulse purchases feel urgent even when they're obviously not. Your neurochemistry is lying to you. It's creating artificial time pressure that doesn't exist. The 72-hour window lets that dopamine spike dissipate. And what happens is remarkable. Research from the Journal of Consumer Psychology, published in late 2024, found that when participants were asked to delay non-essential purchases by just 48 to 72 hours, approximately 64% of those purchases were never completed. Not because people forced themselves not to buy, they simply no longer wanted to. Let me give you the math on what that looks like in real life. The average American household spends approximately $1,497 per month on non-essential purchases in Q1 2026, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Data. If the 72-hour delay eliminates even a conservative 40% of impulse spending, well below the 64% the research suggests That's $599 per month. That's $7,188 per year. Invested in an S&P 500 index fund averaging a historically normal 10% annual return, that's $126,437 over 10 years. $126,000 from waiting 3 days before you buy stuff. I told you these habits were unsexy. I didn't say they weren't powerful. Habit number 2 is what I call dopamine fasting for Amazon. And this one sounds bizarre, so bear with me. Once a month, I delete the Amazon app from my phone. The whole app gone for 7 days. And during that 7 days, I can still buy things from Amazon, but I have to go to the browser, log in manually, type in what I want, and complete the entire checkout process without one-tap purchasing. Here's the thing. This isn't about avoiding Amazon. I love Amazon. Amazon is incredibly useful. The problem isn't the store. The problem is the frictionless design. Amazon has spent literally billions of dollars in UX engineering to remove every single barrier between your impulse and your purchase. One-click buying, saved payment methods, buy it again, buttons. Customers also bought suggestions. Every pixel on that app is designed to make spending money feel like nothing. So by deleting the app and forcing myself to use the clunky browser experience, I'm adding friction back into the process. I'm making it slightly annoying to buy things, and that tiny bit of annoyance is enough to make my rational brain catch up to my impulse brain. The results have been staggering. I tracked my Amazon spending for 6 months before I started doing this versus 6 months after. Before, $487 per month average. After, $214 per month average. That's a 56% reduction. And the kicker? When I look back at what I didn't buy during those fasting weeks, I genuinely cannot identify a single thing I actually missed. Not one. Every single eliminated purchase was something I would have forgotten about within a week. That's $273 per month in savings, $3,276 per year. And I want you to think about that number in terms of your hourly wage. If you earn $30 an hour, that $3,276 represents 109 hours of your life, nearly 3 full work weeks that you were essentially working for free just to buy stuff you don't remember wanting. Habit 3, this one completely rewired how I evaluate every single purchase I make. It's called the cost per use framework, and it's dead simple. Before I buy anything, I estimate how many times I'll realistically use it over its lifespan and divide the price by that number. That gives me the cost per use. And I don't compare prices between products, I compare cost per use. Here's a real example. Let's say you're looking at 2 winter jackets. Jacket A costs $89 from a fast fashion brand. Jacket B costs $340 from a quality outerwear company. Most people buy Jacket A because it's cheaper. But here's the math. Jacket A lasts maybe 2 seasons before the zipper breaks and the insulation clumps up. You wear it approximately 90 times. That's 99 cents per use. Jacket B lasts you 8 to 10 years. You wear it roughly 500 times. That's 68 cents per use. The expensive jacket is actually 31% cheaper. You just have to be willing to do third grade division to see it. This framework has fundamentally changed what I spend money on. I spend more on shoes now, good shoes, resiliable shoes, because the cost per use over 5 years is absurdly low. I spend less on trendy clothes because the cost per use is astronomical when you only wear something 4 times before it sits in your closet, becoming an expensive dust collector. And here's where it gets really interesting. This framework also gives you permission to spend big on things you use constantly. My desk chair cost $1,200. Sounds insane, right? But I sit in it 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week over just 5 years. That's roughly 13,000 hours of use. That's 9 cents per hour. 9 cents an hour for something that directly affects my productivity, my back health, and my daily comfort. Meanwhile, someone will drop $200 on a pair of sneakers they wear 12 times and never do the math on that $16.67 per use. The cost per use framework doesn't tell you to spend less. It tells you to spend smarter. And the difference over a lifetime is enormous. Habit number 4, the quarterly subscription purge. And this one drives me absolutely crazy because the money people are wasting on forgotten subscriptions in 2026 is genuinely obscene. Here's the stat that should make you uncomfortable. According to a Q1 2026 report from C+R Research, the average American now spends approximately $924 per month on subscriptions. And before you say, "No way, not me," that number includes everything: streaming services, gym memberships, app subscriptions, meal kits, software, cloud storage, that meditation app you used for 3 days in January. The average person underestimates their subscription spending by about 2.5 times. So if you think you're spending $150 a month on subscriptions, you're probably spending closer to $375. Every 90 days, I pull up my bank and credit card statements and search for every single recurring charge. Every one. And I cancel anything I haven't actively, consciously used in the past 30 days. Not plan to use, not might use, actually used. Look, I know this sounds tedious, but the first time I did this, I found $247 per month in subscriptions I had completely forgotten about. $247. That's a car payment. I was making a car payment every month to companies providing services I literally did not use. The psychological trick at play here is called the status quo bias. Once you're subscribed to something, your brain treats the subscription as the default state. Canceling feels like losing something, even if you're not using it. Companies know this. That's why free trials auto-convert. That's why canceling requires you to navigate through 7 screens of "Are you sure?" prompts. They're weaponizing your inertia against you. My quarterly purge has averaged $183 per month in eliminated subscriptions across the last 2 years. That's $2,196 per year. Again, do the compound math. At a 10% average annual return, that's $38,584 over 10 years. From canceling things you forgot you were paying for. Habit 5, the boring meals system. And I need to frame this carefully because I'm not telling you to stop enjoying food. Here's what I do. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday lunch. I eat the same 3 meals on rotation. They're simple, they're nutritious. They cost roughly $3 to $4 per meal, and I do not think about them. I don't browse recipes. I don't deliberate. I don't DoorDash because I couldn't decide what to make. I just eat my boring meals and they're fine. Then on Friday dinner, Saturday, and Sunday, I eat whatever I want. Nice restaurants, new recipes, that expensive sushi place, whatever. No guilt, no budget anxiety, full enjoyment. Here's the thing, by making the boring meals boring, the special meals actually feel special again. When you eat out every day, restaurant food becomes your baseline and it stops feeling like a treat. You end up spending more and more chasing the same level of satisfaction. It's hedonic adaptation, the psychological tendency for pleasure from a constant stimulus to decrease over time. By deliberately keeping most meals simple, I've actually increased my enjoyment of good food while dramatically reducing what I spend on it. The math. The average American spends $468 per month eating out and $605 per month on groceries as of early 2026 Bureau of Labor Statistics data. My boring meals system has reduced my combined food spending to approximately $650 per month total while still eating out 2 to 3 times per week. That's a savings of roughly $423 per month compared to the average, or $5,076 per year. And I'm still eating well on weekends. Now, you might be thinking, Billy, eating the same thing every day sounds miserable. And I get that. But here's what I'd push back on. Do you actually enjoy your Tuesday lunch? Like genuinely? Or do you spend 20 minutes deciding what to eat, 15 minutes waiting for delivery, pay $22 including tip and fees for a mediocre sandwich, and then go back to work? Because that's not enjoyment. That's just friction pretending to be a choice. Habit 6 is one I almost never see anyone talk about, the strategic social media unfollow. Every 3 months, usually on the same day, I do my subscription purge. I go through every account I follow on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and I unfollow any account that primarily makes me want to buy things. Lifestyle influencers showing off products, haul videos, tech reviewers who make you feel like your current phone is garbage, fashion accounts, apartment tour accounts that make your perfectly fine apartment feel inadequate. I'm not saying these creators are bad people, they're doing their job, but their job is to make you feel a gap between what you have and what you should have. And that gap, that manufactured sense of inadequacy, is the most expensive emotion in the world. It's the invisible engine behind billions of dollars in consumer spending. A 2025 survey from Bankrate found that 48% of social media users reported making an unplanned purchase directly because of something they saw on social media within the prior month. The median unplanned purchase amount was $107. By systematically removing the triggers, I've reduced my exposure to commercial influence by an estimated 70 to 80%. And the psychological impact has been just as significant as the financial one. I genuinely feel less desire to buy things, not because I'm exercising willpower, but because the prompts have been removed. You don't have to resist temptation if you never encountered the temptation in the first place. This is what I mean by unsexy. Nobody's going to make a viral video about unfollowing Instagram accounts, but when it saves you $150 a month in purchases, you were psychologically manipulated into wanting. That's $1,800 a year. That's real money. Habit 7, annual negotiation week. Once a year, I do it in January, I dedicate 1 week to calling every single company I pay regularly and negotiating a lower rate. Insurance, internet, cell phone, credit cards, even my gym. This sounds exhausting. It's actually about 6 to 8 hours of total work spread across 5 days. And last January in 2026, here's what I got. Car insurance, switched to a new carrier, saved $640 per year on the same coverage. Home internet, called my provider, told them I was considering switching, got a $15 per month reduction, $180 per year. Cell phone, switched from a major carrier to a prepaid plan on the same network, saved $45 per month, $540 per year. Credit card, called and asked for an APR reduction, got it lowered by 3 percentage points. I carry a small balance occasionally, and that saves approximately $210 in annual interest. Total savings from 1 week of moderately annoying phone calls, $1,570 per year. And these are recurring savings. They compound every year until my next negotiation week, where I do it all over again and usually save even more because rates have typically crept back up. Here's what most people don't realize. Most of these companies have retention departments whose entire job is to give you a discount so you don't leave. They have pre-approved discounts built into their system, but they will never offer them proactively. You have to ask. The script is literally this simple. Hi, I've been a loyal customer for X years. I've noticed that new customers are getting better rates. I'd like to either match that rate or I'll need to consider my options. That's it. That sentence is worth over $1,000 a year. Habit 8, the 1 in, 1 out rule. For every new, non-consumable item I bring into my home, one existing item has to leave, donated, sold, or discarded. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a decluttering tip, not a financial habit. But here's the thing about powerful. It is profoundly financial, and the mechanism is psychological. When you know that buying something new means getting rid of something you already own, it forces a comparison. Is this new thing better than my worst existing thing? Is it worth the hassle of getting rid of something? That mental comparison slows you down. It introduces a real cost, not just money, but effort and loss, into every purchase decision. Since implementing this rule, my discretionary physical purchases have dropped by roughly 35%. That's not discipline. That's architecture. I redesigned the decision environment so that buying things has natural friction built in. And there's a financial bonus. Selling displaced items on Facebook Marketplace and eBay has generated an average of $1,800 per year in revenue that I never would have earned otherwise. Stuff that was just sitting in my closet doing nothing turned into money the moment I needed to clear space for something new. Habit 9, and this is the one that I think is genuinely the most underrated financial habit in existence, the reverse budget. Most people budget like this. Income comes in, you pay bills, you spend throughout the month, and whatever's left over at the end goes to savings. The problem? There's never anything left over. Spending expands to fill the available space, like a gas in a container. Economists call this Parkinson's law of money. The reverse budget flips this entirely. The day I get paid, a preset automated transfer moves a fixed amount directly into my investment accounts and a separate high-yield savings account. In Q1 2026, 2026, the high yield savings accounts I use are paying approximately 4.3% to 4.6% APY. The money moves before I even see it in my checking account, then I live on whatever's left. Here's the thing, the psychology of this is radically different from a traditional budget. With a traditional budget, saving feels like deprivation. You're taking money away from your present self. With the reverse budget, your present self never had that money. You can't miss what you never felt you had. Your spending baseline automatically adjusts downward, usually within 1 to 2 months, and you don't even notice the difference. I automate 28% of my gross income into investments and savings on payday. For someone earning the U.S. median household income of approximately $80,600 in Q1 2026, that would be $1,881 per month automatically saved and invested. At a 10% average annual return, that's $387,452 after 10 years. And the critical part, it happened automatically. No willpower required, no spreadsheets, no monthly guilt sessions staring at your bank statement. If you do nothing else from this entire video, do this one thing. Set up automatic transfers on payday. Start at 10% if 28% feels aggressive. You'll adjust faster than you think. All right, habit 10, the last one. And I saved this for the end because it's the weirdest one and also, honestly, the one that changed me the most. Every 6 months, I write a letter to my future self. I use a free website called futureme.org. I write a letter describing my current financial situation, what I'm earning, what I'm saving, what I'm struggling with, what my goals are, and I set it to be delivered to my email 1 year later. Now, you might be thinking, Billy, that's not a financial habit. That's journaling. And yeah, it kind of is, but here's why it's the most powerful financial habit on this list. When that letter arrives 12 months later, it creates an incredibly visceral, undeniable moment of accountability. You come face to face with what past you was hoping for, and you either lived up to it or you didn't. There's no rationalizing, there's no hiding. Past you told you exactly what you wanted, and present, you has to answer for what happened. The psychological research on this is fascinating. A study from UCLA's Anderson School of Management found that people who felt a stronger connection to their future selves saved, on average, 30% more of their income than those who didn't. The researchers used fMRI scans and found that most people's brains process their future self as a stranger, literally a different person. Writing these letters bridges that gap. It makes your future self feel real, specific, and connected to your present decisions. I cannot put a single dollar figure on this habit because its impact is diffused across every other financial decision I make. But I can tell you this, every time I'm about to make a dumb financial choice, I think about the letter I wrote 6 months ago. I think about what past me was hoping I'd do. And more often than not, that's enough to change my behavior. Okay, so let's add this all up because individually, some of these habits sound small. A couple $100 a month here, $1,000 a year there. But here's what most people don't realize about how these habits interact. They compound, not just financially, but psychologically. Let me run the combined numbers conservatively. The 72-hour delay, $7,188 per year. Dopamine fasting for Amazon, $3,276. Subscription purge, $2,196. Boring meal system, $5,076. Strategic unfollows, $1,800. Annual negotiation week, $1,570. One in one out selling revenue, $1,800. Reverse budget investment gains are separate since that's a savings mechanism, not a spending reduction. Total annual savings from habits 1 through 8 alone, approximately $22,906. Call it $23,000 conservatively, $23,000 a year invested at a 10% average annual return over 10 years. That's roughly $398,000. Over 15 years, that crosses $770,000. Over 20 years, $1.44 million from habits that take a combined total of maybe 2 to 3 hours per month to maintain. Nobody is going to make a TikTok about deleting the Amazon app. Nobody's going viral for eating the same lunch on Tuesdays. Nobody's getting invited on a podcast because they negotiate their internet bill every January. But $1.5 million doesn't care about being sexy. It just cares about being consistent. Look, I started this video by describing that feeling, that weird gap between what you earn and what you have, that financial vapor that seems to just disappear every month. And I think a lot of you assumed the solution was going to be complicated, some spreadsheet system, some app, some elaborate strategy. It's not. It's 10 boring habits. It's adding friction where corporations removed it. It's automating the things that matter and adding delay to the things that don't. It's playing offense with your psychology instead of constantly playing defense against an entire economy that is engineered, and I mean that literally, engineered to extract money from you as efficiently as possible. You don't have to do all 10. Start with one. Start tonight. Delete the Amazon app for a week. Set up an automatic transfer. Write that future self letter. Just do one thing differently, because a year from now, you're going to look at your bank account and either say, I'm glad I started, or I wish I had started. And the only difference between those two people is what you do in the next 24 hours. If this helped you, hit subscribe. Drop a comment telling me which of these 10 habits you're going to try first. I read every single one and I'll reply. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's working hard but can't figure out where their money keeps going. And I'll see you in the next video.